Oh my god, it's huge. Mina shouted, as she and her other classmates stood at the front gates of the Midoriya household, most of them with their mouths agape except for the 3 rich students and the 2 others who had seen it before. Yes, it is indeed a rather large house, Ida said while chopping the air. I mean it would have to be considering it's meant to hold all those kids, Shoto added. I suppose this would be considered large for the average person. Momo didn't really have much of a frame of reference for these things. She knew her house was bigger than most people's, but if this was big enough to send most of the class into a stupor. Alright, everyone let's go. Ochako pumped her fist into the air. With fire in her eyes she ran up to the intercom on the gates, her luggage floating next to her. Izuku, we're here. After a few moments, the gates opened up, allowing them to enter, with all their luggage in tow. Whoa, look at that tree. Toru pointed at the grim tree with all its color-painted leaves. It's so pretty. I don't think I've ever seen a tree like that before. Momo took a closer look at it. Are those leaves fake? Aha, the kids made the leaves. Also, the tree is actually a grim, so don't do anything dumb or it will attack you. Ochako warned. Bruh, it's a tree. How does it attack? Kaminari asked. As if to answer that question, an apple dropped from the tree, screaming and chopping the air with its big teeth. Rah! 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 As it faded away, everyone stood silent for a moment as if to contemplate what the hell they just saw. Never mind, Kaminari said as he and a good chunk of the class moved away from the tree, walking quite a bit faster than they did before. Just gonna pretend that I didn't see that, Toru said as the rest of the class moved to catch their classmates. Before they reached the front door, it opened up, and Fu, Nara, and Ken walked out. So, you guys are from the UA Hero course. Ken squinted at them, inspecting each one of the students. I expected more ack. Nara smacked her brother in the head, before turning to Class 1A and giving them an apologetic bow. I'm so sorry about him. He's an idiot. It's an honor to meet you all. Yes, it is nice to see you all again. Fu nodded. Aw man, that kid is as monotone as ever, Kaminari commented. And still as cute. Mina giggled, suppressing her urge to glom. Nice to see you, too little man, Kirishima said. It's great to see you again Fu. Ochako smiled kindly at the zombie boy, before turning to Ken and Nara. And you two are Ken and Nara, right? Izuku said you two were the oldest ones under his care. That's right. The name's Ken, future #1 hero. Ken boasted, as his sister rolled her eyes. Not when you have the IQ of a rock you won't, Nara smirked, as her brother stuck out his tongue. My name is Nara, unfortunately, I'm his sister, but please don't let that lower your opinion of me. Well, you definitely act like siblings. Sue shook her head, as she was briefly reminded of her own family's antics. It's lovely to meet the both of you. Am I to assume you're here to bring us to Midoriya? Momo asked the children. Yup, follow us, Fu said abruptly, before turning around and walking through the door into the house, with class following suit. XXXXXXXXX. After a brief walk through the house, getting lots of oohs and ahs from the class as they took a trip through what was essentially a mansion, except for of course the rich kids, until they reached Izuku's office. Man, this is a pretty snazzy place to work, Kaminari said as he walked over and inspected the desk. With a nice view too. Mina went over to the window and looked outside, squealing with glee. Ah, look! It's Kiba's backyard. Forget her backyard. We're gonna be taking care of Kiba herself. Ah, she is such a queen. Toru squealed as well. Suddenly the 3 kids got squeamish. I wouldn't get too excited, Ken warned them. Kiba hasn't exactly been herself. That raised some concern among the class, particularly from the ones who watched Kiba like Mina, Momo, Kirishima, Toru, Kaminari, Sue, and of course, Ochako. Even Dark Shadow came out looking concerned. What happened to the little queen? Dark Shadow asked with big sad eyes. She didn't take Izuku's collapse well, Nara admitted tentatively. And even when she recovered she didn't go back to acting the way she did before, she's more normal. But she always seems distracted by something. Even I don't know what's going on with her, Fu admitted with a slight pout. But it's concerning. Mina thought about what she just heard for a moment, before giving a determined pout and pumping her fist. I bet she's still sad because her dad is sick. We're gonna have to cheer her up. Yeah, shouted the Kiba fans in the class. Well, good luck with that, Fu said, before walking over to the door that led to Izuku's room. But first let's talk to Dad. The zombie opened the door, and led Class 1A inside, where they saw Izuku laying down on the bed, with a seer, and 2 bearing elves at his side. "Hey, guys." Izuku gave them a weak smile, before going into a small coughing fit. "It's nice to see you all. Sorry I had to call you all here. I must have caused you all so much trouble." "It was nothing," Ochako said real quickly before she went over to Izuku's side and started inspecting him. "Have you been eating enough? Sleeping too? And please tell me you haven't been moving around. The doctor told you not to be moving for at least a week after you got out of the hospital." Oh, Oka's gone into concerned wife mode. Mina whisped a bit too loudly, but Ochako seemingly either didn't hear her or ignored her. "I'm fine, I couldn't neglect my health even if I wanted to. The kids have been doting over me way too much." Izuku sighed. "And these 2 aren't just here to help me out, they're also here to keep me from getting up." "Good, I'll have to thank Yami for that." Ochako made a mental note to do that later. "Hey there Midori. Nice to see you again," Mina greeted, giving him a friendly wave. "Don't worry about pulling us from class. I was looking for a break anyway. While I am unhappy about our leave from school, I am more than glad to do so if it means helping children in need." Ida shouted. "Indeed, and while we will be away from UA we will be receiving school work from our teachers." Momo emphasized that last part, electing groans from her less academically motivated classmates as well as Ken. "Well, in that case I'll try not to give you too much work," Izuku told them. "Nope. You're not lifting a finger." Ochako put her hands on her hips and gave him a stern look. "We came here to work, and that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, we're not getting paid to sit around. We're gonna work and work hard," Kirishima shouted. But maybe not too hard," Mineta added. "Just make sure to leave enough time for us to train," Shoto told him, in his typical disinterested tone. "Well, alright then. I'll leave it up to you guys to divide the work," Izuku explained to them. "But it will be a lot of work. Firstly, you'll have to feed all the children every day, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner times, which means you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get breakfast ready." Shouted out a few of the students. 5 in the morning? Mineta complained, looking like someone told him he had a terminal disease. "Feeding the kids takes a while because you have to make all that food. That's 12 normal dishes, along with feeding Fu and Kyosei their enormous amount of meat. You have to make Netsu's food in a very specific way so he doesn't burn it while eating. Kai's food needs to be delivered in front of his room in a very specific way. And you also have to give Shiroku her combination of human flesh and dead spiders," Izuku explained. Ugh. Toru's face contorted in disgust, not that anyone could see it. "And you also have to make sure they have snacks that they can eat throughout the day stocked in the fridge," Izuku continued. "Speaking of stocked, you'll also have to keep stock of not just the food, but all the supplies that are needed around the house. There is a comprehensive list of that, in my drawer. I had Mom label it for you. The seers should be able to help." Hearing its name, the seer made its weird clicking noise that creeped a few of the students out. "Yeah, what is that thing?" Kaminari asked, looking thoroughly unnerved. "It's creepier than normal grim, somehow." "Oh, this is a seer." Izuku pointed at the orb grim. "They can act kind of like a combination of moving phones and security cameras. I have a bunch of them patrolling the house and the forest around the house, and they'll warn you if anything's wrong, like if one of the kids broke something, or if there is an intruder. You can also use them to check on things, keep watch of all the kids, and help count inventory, as well as a variety of other things. They're the most useful Grim by far, so you should keep one by at least one of you at all times." Many of the students didn't look too thrilled about this. "Alright, but getting back to what you were talking about before. What tasks will we have to do while working here?" Momo asked. Izuku took a deep breath. "Well, besides food and inventory, you'll also have to deal with house maintenance. Inspect the house for any damages, and make sure everything is in working order, and if there are any issues, you'll have to call someone to fix it. This will mostly consist of one of the kids breaking and destroying something, and you having to replace or fix it. Also, you'll have to deal with all the appropriate paperwork that comes with repairing and maintaining parts of the house. Also, you'll have to manage their education, come up with lesson plan for all of them and then teach them in one of the classrooms. You'll also have to give personal lesions to Fukunoko and Mu because they're too shy to work around others, although maybe that's changed for Fuku, you'll have to check. On top of that, you'll have to tutor the kids who didn't fully understand your lesson and make sure they do. Also, you'll have to handle requests from the children for certain objects at the end of every week. Also, you'll have to keep up and support all the kids' hobbies. Also, you'll have to help with pretty much all the kids' quirk training. If the kids get into a fight that's not sparing, then you'll have to break it up and punish them, before making them get along again and cheering them up later. If one of the kids has a personal issue, you'll either have to deal with it yourself or bring them to me. And you'll also have to deal with my financial paperwork, managing the money that comes in from the government, as well as managing the money I'm sending to my mother's company, selling Shiruka's leftover webbing, selling Fu's intact remains, as well as other things of which you will find a comprehensive list of in my desk. Also, you'll have to maintain the forest. The kids like to play and train there, so it almost constantly needs to be repaired, replanting trees, filling holes, etc. This of course will require you to make a few calls and fill out the necessary paperwork. And dash. XXXXXXXX. That's about it. Izuku finally finished. Class 1A, as well as Ken, Nara, and even Fu were all looking at him in shock. Ochako was the first one to break out of her stupor. You were doing all that by yourself? Ochako shouted at him, enraged. Izuku winced under her gaze. If you weren't recovering, I would slap you. How did you even manage to do all that for as long as you did? Momo asked in a mixture of amazement and disbelief. A mix of determination, good time management, and good pain tolerance, Izuku explained. Dude, that's manly, but also too much. Kirishima shouted. Midoriya. Knowing one's limits is an important part of life. While I admire your determination, you should have hired help to take on this workload long ago. Ida chided. Yeah, man, when you needed pain tolerance just to do your job, that's when you should have figured it was time to take a break, Zero told him. I get it. Izuku sighed. I was being dumb. But that's in the past, and we need to move forward. Momo nodded. He's right. Scolding Midoriya now won't do us much good. We need to divide this work among all 19 of us. Actually, Mom is here too. She's in the kitchen cooking lunch right now. Izuku told them. She's been very insistent on helping, so if you need help with pretty much anything, then she'll be there. Then we'll have to give her our thanks when we see her. Ida shouted, before turning to the class. Now, how many of you know how to cook? Sato, Aoyama, and Azui raised their hands. Alright, only 3, 4 including Mrs. Midoriya. Ida thought about it for a moment. I'm not sure that's enough. Hey, don't forget about the people that live here. Nara reminded them. Yonda and Yami have helped out in the kitchen before. They can be there to help you guys if you need it. Actually, that might be for the best. It's good if they learn how to cook for themselves, and it keeps them active. Tsu pointed out. I see. In that case, we'll ask the children how many of them want to help. Ida determined. But aside from the volunteers, Azui, Aoyama, and Sato will be in charge of the cooking alongside Mrs. Midoriya. I can help with house maintenance. Ochako piped up. My parents run a construction company. Actually, they work for Izuku, so I should be able to deal with all the construction stuff and the paperwork. I see, then I'll put you in charge of that. However, I would like Shoji and Jiro to assist you. I believe their quirks are the most suited for these tasks. Ida said. I'll do my best, Shoji said. I'll try not to mess it up. Jiro seemed a bit less sure, but it's not like she was gonna refuse. Koda, I think you could use your animals in combination with the seers to better inspect the forest, Momo told the quietest member of the class. Koda nodded, still not saying a word as usual. Yaoyorozu and I will handle the lesson plans, Ida said. Mina, Azui, you two strike me as people who are good with children. Could you two handle teaching the children? Of course. Mina immediately rose to the challenge. I may not be the smartest, but I can teach a bunch of grade schoolers. I think I'll want to help you with the lesson plan. You might make it a bit too intense for them, Azui told them. Oh, and can I help too? I love dealing with kids. Toru requested. If you insist. Ida agreed. Now for quirk training. I'll help Eri. Ochako immediately volunteered. Her issue is power control, right? I had that same problem. I think I can help her out the most. Agreed. Sato, can you help Kiba with her restraint training? Momo asked. I'll do my best. Sato agreed. Is anyone here into horror movies? Izuku abruptly asked. I am. Why? Mina was happy to share her love of horror movies, but she was a bit confused as to where that question came from. Fukunoko's training consists of her watching horror movies and trying not to activate her quirk, Izuku explained. So it would be best if you were the one to handle her training. That's the fear gas girl, right? Mina seemed a bit hesitant. I'm gonna have a gas mask for this, right? Of course, Izuku answered quickly. Okay, then it should be fine. Mina still seemed a bit tentative. We'll get along like two peas in a pod. Lastly, we have Netsu. Momo turned to Shoto. Todoroki, can you dash? No. Shoto quickly refused. Everyone was kind of taken aback by his sudden refusal, and so the bicolored boy explained. I don't use my fire. Therefore I have nothing to teach him. Shoto said curtly. Wait, I thought his quirk made ice. Fu asked, slightly confused. His quirk is half cold, half hot. From his right side, he can make ice, and from his left, he can make fire. Izuku explained to the kids. It's a very powerful quirk, but he only uses the ice for some reason. What? Why? Ken asked, confused as to why anyone would limit themselves like that. That's none of your business, Shoto said, his voice cold, with a bit of an edge to it. Geez, you're such a grump. Mina scolded. Yeah, kinda unmanly, Kirishima added. Shoto just stayed silent, stoic, and stubborn. Well, if you won't train Netsu then, who will? Momo asked. No one else had any sort of fire-based power, except Ken, and he wasn't exactly a master of controlling Heat Blast's abilities either. I suppose I will teach him. Tokoyami volunteered. I too have a great power I must control, lest I destroy all around me. Perhaps my experience can assist him. I suppose that is the best option we have. Momo gave Shoto a questioning look, but the frosty body just gave her the cold shoulder. And with that taken care of, Kirishima, Ochako, Tokoyami, Todoroki, Siro, Sato, Mineta, and I will be in charge of handling any fights or outburst from the children. Given how powerful they are, I believe we are the most equipped to take them down quick, and with harming either the children or ourselves. Most of the people Momo listed seemed up for this, however, Mineta seemed more than a little upset. Aw man, why am I on the front lines in case one of these nuclear toddlers has a meltdown? Mineta mentally bemoaned. Alright, with that in mind, Uraraka volunteered to handle the paperwork involving construction, but we'll also need people to handle the various other types of paperwork. Ida pointed out. I feel the best people to be assigned to this are myself, Yaoyorozu, Todoroki, and Mineta. Keeping Mineta away from the kids, good idea Ida. Through the girls collectively. And we can all do standard house chores such as cleaning, laundry, and washing dishes. So if anyone is available they can take care of those tasks. Momo told everyone. There was a general murmur of agreement among the students. Alright, now I think it's time I introduced you all to the children. Izuku decided as he leaned over to the seer. Gather all the kids in the backyard. It's time they meet our guest. XXXXXXXXXX. After a few minutes, everyone had gathered in the backyard. Izuku was still in a wheelchair, being handled by none other than Ochako. Class 1A were faced opposite to the children, with most of them giving off warm smiles. Inko was also present, standing next to the children. Everyone, this is Class 1A. They already know who you all are, so there is no need for introductions. Izuku explained. Hello, children. Some of you may remember me, but to those who don't remember me, I am UA class representative, Tenya Ida. Ida introduced himself. And I am Vice Representative Momo Yaoyorozu. Momo went next. I am Yuga Aoyama. Aoyama said while doing an overly flamboyant pose, and I dash. I'm Mina Ashido. You can just call me Mina. Mina said, while moving in front of Aoyama, and giving Kiba an eager grin. And I'm president of Class 1A's Kiba Fan Club. Hey, we never agreed on that. I want to be the president. Toru objected. Yeah, just saying you're the president without talking to the rest of the club is really unmanly. Kirishima crossed his arms and gave Mina a disapproving look. Yeah, as the person who met Kiba first, I should be the president. Ochako insisted. Wait, when was there a club? Momo asked, confused as to when this started. While the Kiba fan club bickered, Kiba herself looked unsure. Oh, thank you all for watching me. That caused them all to stop and look at the girl oddly. It was easy that Kiba was not acting like herself, and they wondered what exactly was causing this huge shift in personality. While the Kiba squad was stunned, the rest of the class took the time to introduce themselves. And while they did, Kyoko was staring at them while hiding behind Kai. She didn't trust these people as far as she could throw them, and given her tiny body that wasn't very far. Especially that guy with the twin-colored hair. He looked so condescending. And she really didn't trust the short ball-haired guy for some reason. But her daddy needed the help. He tried so hard to do it all by himself, and it hurt him so bad. And these people were friends with Ochako, so that gave them at least a little bit of credit. She would see how these people did. And if they tried anything funny, she would tell her father straight away. Kyoko would be more vigilant. She had to be. She wouldn't allow something to hurt her family like this again.